Today, I am talking about why being a mum is your competitive advantage.
Hey love, you're listening to the Mums in Biz Show and I'm Victoria. Every week I'll bring you the unvarnished version of what it means to be a mum running a brilliant business, what you need to be doing to get it to where you want it to be, and a healthy dose of how to get the heck out of your own way. Let's dive in.
Well, hey there, ladies, and welcome to the Mums in Biz Show. It is that time of the week again where I get into the detail of what it means to be a mum in business and how you can, in today's episode, use that to your absolute advantage. Today, I am talking about why being a mum is your competitive advantage. I actually 100% believe this. I think that it is actually an unfair advantage that we have as mums in business. And when you learn how to master the things that make us unique, mums in business, you really are going to be unstoppable. But I know also that as mums, we so often give our power away. I was just talking about this with my conflicted to confident students, actually. And, you know, we are fierce protectors. We are providers for our families. You know, you created life, for goodness sake. You are a woman who can get things done, but we allow ourselves to believe that we are less than somehow because we are just a mum, or because we can't do that because we're, have to be a mum. And I am here to say stop it. So today's episode is all about why you are in fact the best person to slay your business goals and to make an impact that really matters. What I am doing today is I want to tell you why you are uniquely positioned. Now, I think that the things that I'm going to talk about today will mean different things to each of you. So I would love for you to go ahead and share, write a comment, let me know what the different points mean to you, because I'm willing to bet that you are going to have some aha moments as I go through this and really start to think. What I want is for you to start thinking, why don't I just embrace that? Because I genuinely believe what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to get started. Now, there's several things that I want to talk about, and where I want to start is, as mums, we are completely unstoppable when we really decide to get something done. So how many of you, and when you decide that you are going to rearrange your lounge room, clear out your garage, you are going to get your children into a different school, you are going to change the way that you are handling school drop-off or something like that, that feels like it could be a little bit messy to sort out, but you're like, nope, this is happening, you make it happen, hell or high water. I'm willing to bet that you, like me, once you really get a bee in your bonnet about something, that you make that happen. Organising a tribe of children, a partner, all of the extras in our lives, often watching a mum do that it puts a 5-star general to shame. So why is it then that we don't believe that we are completely unstoppable when we set our minds to business? I really want to ask that question, and I would love to know what you think, because you don't have all the answers when you set out to choose a school for your child. You certainly didn't have all the answers before you gave birth for the first time, but you've managed to keep your children going through all the goodness that is the newborn years. You know, we often dive into situations where we don't have the answers, but we just dive in and make it happen. And that is a skill. I don't think you realize that. It's actually a skill that we are born with, or that we innately come into when we become a mum. I had some massive realizations when I became a mum, and it completely changed who I am and how I show up. And I'm really proud of that. But it took me a little while to actually step into that power and own it. So mums are unstoppable. That is the first point that I want to say about why you being a mum in business is a massive competitive advantage. Depth is the second point that I want to talk about. So there is a realization and a real awakening that happens when you have a child. what I used to say was all of the cliches were true. My priorities did completely shift. The things that were important to me completely changed. And the things that I was really prepared to do when the chips were down for my children, for my family, for the things that I really believed in were fundamentally shifted. You know, there's an element of selflessness that comes. And I think we often take that to the extreme. But when you own the deep understanding and empathy that comes with that realization of what you're really prepared to do and what is really important and impactful to you, I think that that is a competitive advantage. If you compare you and the depth of belief that you have and the depth of what you're prepared to do to make something happen with somebody who hasn't had children yet, I'm going to come back and qualify this, or to an entrepreneur who is in a different environment than a mum, being a mum in business, it looks completely different. And I think that speaks to the integrity that you can bring, and I'll talk more about that soon. Now, I do want to qualify. I am not saying that all entrepreneurs that aren't mums aren't wonderful people who want to have a significant impact. Please don't misrepresent or misinterpret what I'm trying to say. What I am saying, though, that you have something special that you can bring because you are a mum, and that is a competitive advantage that you can bring into your business. All right, let's move on to the next point, okay? Mums don't play around the edges. For the most part, we don't. We generally dive right into the middle of whatever messy situation it is and do what needs to be done to find a way out of that situation. Sure, when you're presented with a nappy explosion, for example, your very first one, there is a moment where you kind of look at the baby and wonder how the hell you're going to resolve the situation. But then you just pick a point and you start and you get through it. Yeah? I probably could have come up with a less graphic example, but you know what I mean. Your child comes home from school and there has been a situation with another child. Maybe there's some not great behavior going on, or they're not getting along. You don't generally kind of play around the edges. You dive right in there in the middle and are a part of how you help them find a solution. You generally aren't the person that just lets them figure it out for themselves, or if you do, there's a really solid reason and you're watching very closely. So mums don't play around the edges. Let me give you a business example, which you were probably doing or did when you started your business. You probably played around the edges there. And sometimes we jump straight in, boots and all, and we're like, yes, I've got this, I'm going to figure this out. And sometimes we let ourselves get in the way. And that is the whole point that I'm working towards, that I'm going to finish with today's show episode. But if we can dive right into the middle of a poo explosion and figure that out, and I know mums who've done that in the middle of a cinema and all sorts of places where they've resolved the situation, why do we play around the edges in our business? Why don't we use that skill that we have to absolutely figure stuff out and find a way forward? It's just a question that plays on my mind. It's been playing on my mind a lot lately. So the next point that I want to talk about is that trust and authenticity generally come naturally to mums. And there are many reasons for this. I talked a little bit about it with depth. I think there is a much more practical reason for it. I have never been a particularly patient human. Anybody who knows me well would probably laugh at me for saying that. I have some self-awareness. But my tolerance for BS and for game playing and politics literally plummeted below zero when I became a mum. I do not have any tolerance or patience for that kind of behavior. But what the flip side of that is, and most mums that I know are like that, they're like, okay, well, let's just get to the chase here because I'm sick of beating around the bush. I don't really have time for it. I'm quite busy. but it brings out your authenticity, yeah? Because then the message that you're wanting to give, it's straight and direct and true. And that becomes really natural to you. And you can see through the garbage and the guff. That is an absolutely golden skill that you can use in your business. It is a competitive advantage because there are a lot of people out there who are still buying into the BS of marketing. But if you know how to be true and authentic and natural and really, really honest with your message and speaking directly to the heart of your ideal client, that you absolutely cannot replace that. In fact, I was watching a webinar the other day, and it was Melissa Farr. Anybody who follows her, I haven't watched any of her stuff before, and just the title of the webinar caught my attention enough for me to give it some time. And she was talking about the what I will call a myth, actually, that online business is a bubble that's going to burst. I think that's garbage. I think it will change, but it's what business is all about. It's been changing for years. It's going to keep changing. But she was talking about the things that remain constant are connection, authenticity, building real relationships, really, understanding and delivering value to people. And that, I think, comes really naturally to mums. It's something that some people have to work really hard towards, but certainly all of the women in my tribe who I've spoken to and my clients, that is what drives them. It's one of their fundamental values. That, my friend, is a competitive advantage. So this kind of plays into the next point that I wanted to make too, because we want to make a difference. It comes naturally with that wanting to be honest and true. Anything that takes us away from our kids has to be really worth doing. And so the thing that inspires us to start our businesses and to really do what it takes, which sometimes means being away from our children or making choices about whether I do this thing or that thing, it needs to be really important to us, yeah? And so that means that you want a business that's going to make an impact. You want a business that's going to have a purpose and really create change for someone, for your ideal client and the problem that you're solving for them. Whatever that might be, whatever connection it is that you're creating for somebody, it doesn't need to be at the level of, being a volunteer missionary in Africa for it to be an important connection and impact that you're making, is what I'm trying to say. But as mums, I have not spoken to one woman in business who is a professional mum in my target market, people in my tribe or my clients, who don't have a really strong vision around the impact that they want to make in their business. It's about much more than making money. And that's what brings your clients to you, because they follow authentic message. They follow people who genuinely want to make a change. And that is a competitive advantage, because you can't say that about everybody who's out there, especially in the online world today. So if we've got all these things going for us as mums in business, and yes, I'm playing with a rock. If we've got all these things going for us, we are unstoppable. We will get things done. When we set our minds to it, we make it happen. We have this depth of realization and an awakening and really thinking about our priority shifts and what's important to us that comes when you have a child. We don't play around the edges. We dive into the middle of messy situations and we find a way out. We are authentic and people trust us naturally because of the way that we present ourselves. We don't have tolerance for the BS. We don't have patience for garbage, and we really want to make an impact. Then why the hell are we not dominating the world? Well, I'm telling you that we are going to be dominating the world. And because the only thing that you need to do is get out of your own way. And I think that this comes back to that whole giving your power away thing. We allow ourselves to feel less than because we're a mum, when in fact I think that's one of the most noble things that you can do in life is to support the life of another person. I'm not going to say only the people who have created life, because I don't believe that you have to have, carried and born a child to be a mother. and to have all of those things that I talked about. Anybody who has that experience with their children or with a person, I think that really creates something special. But for some reason, we feel like it's not as noble a calling, and we've all spoken to people. I know I've done it myself, where I return to work and I'm only working part-time. And I don't say, no, that's not my work day. I'm doing something really important on that day. I'm looking after my child. I say, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm off that day, and I apologize for it. And I had to stop myself from doing that, because I was like, hell no, actually what I'm doing that day is way more important than what I do for you on the other 4 days. But we give away our power. I am on a mission. I want us as mums to take back our power, because you can absolutely, can you imagine how amazing it would be is if every single mum that you knew really stepped into her confidence and her power and owned the things that were amazing about her as a mum. Can you imagine what we could get done? I mean, holy moly, look out world. And so if we can figure out even how to harness 1/5 of these things that are incredible about us, our businesses are going to be like they're on rocket fuel. Especially because what we do is we do it together. And this is why I harp on about the tribe, and that's why I have a group, and why I really encourage people to come and join us in the Mums in Biz tribe, because I believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to raise a business too. And when we do it together, I think it's unbelievable the potential that we can have, because we all support each other in business. We learn and grow together. We don't let each other get away with some of the stuff that we like to throw out there when we're indulging in a little bit of lack of self-belief. We're very good at pulling each other up. And I just think that, getting out of our own way and being in that really strong community are some of the things that set us apart in business. So once you figure out a way around how you get in your own way, then there really are no limits to what you can achieve, because it's so important to you, that thing that you've decided that you're going to grow. And people do talk about their business being a baby. I don't love talking about it that way, but it does become something that is an integral part of your life and how you move forward and how you're reaching your goals and the dreams that you have in place, and what you want to teach your children too, right? Like teaching that whole entrepreneurial spirit and the art of believing in something and then making it happen, and showing them that there is a way that is different to what society is ingraining in us constantly about the way to succeed in life, I think is really, really powerful. So you actually do have control of all of that. You have control of your choices. You have control of your destiny. And I think that, once we learn how to step around our resistance and how to step through our resistance and do that in a way that takes back our confidence, then there isn't anything material about starting a business. And I often say, starting a business doesn't need to be hard. I mean, it's not easy and there's a lot of work involved, but it's pretty straightforward. It's ourselves that is the hard work. It's the mindset stuff. It's the doing the things that we're scared of doing. It's the finding the stuff that we're really great at, that we can put our best foot forward. It's having the confidence and having the confidence. And I think also sometimes I can't even think of the word that I want to use, like just being willing to put yourself out there regardless, and being willing to believe that people are going to love the message that we have to put forward, because I guarantee you are underestimating yourself and the impact that you can have. So practice putting your needs and your priorities first. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about those things that you do that give away your time or give away your power or compromise the choices that you feel like you're able to make.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoy listening to the Mums in Biz show, I would love for you to leave us a review on iTunes, and be sure to post a snap of you enjoying the show on Instagram and tag me at nicole.tuerick. You can also join in the conversation with me in the Mums in Biz tribe on Facebook. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Mums in Biz Show.